I'm currently working on a longer vid for this channel. It's taking a bit of extra time, so I thought I'd throw together a bunch of my previous shorts into one cohesive vid on the worst defensive players at every position in the meantime. I'll be back with a bigger video tomorrow, so for now I hope you enjoy this one and have a great rest of your day.
MJ Melendez is the worst defensive catcher in the major leagues. Not only did he post a negative 18 defensive runs saved with a negative 1.2 defensive WAR in just 78 games behind the dish in 2022, he also sported the worst blocks above average mark in the bigs by over double at negative 25, with the next closest being at negative 11. This is on top of the fact he saved negative 12 framing runs, which was second worst among catchers, only beaten by Robinson Chirinos' negative 14. Does he at least make up for all this somewhat with a rifle for an arm? Not really. Last year he ranked just 38th in baseball for pop time at a slightly above average 1.97. It's a good thing he'll be playing primarily outfield for the Royals this season.
Patrick Wisdom is the worst defensive third baseman in the MLB today. Not only did he post a negative 6 DRS in 2022 with an overall negative 1 defensive WAR, he also finished last at the hot corner in StatCast's outs above average with negative 11, runs prevented at negative 8, and success rate added at negative 3%. His overall success rate didn't fare much better at a paltry 67%, fourth worst in the majors. All of this comes in spite of his extremely strong arm, which posted the hardest max velo throw in baseball last year at third base with a 98.0 mph mark. Along with his barely average hitting, Wisdom will need to step it up on both sides of the ball if he's going to continue to see playing time. Luis Garcia is the worst defensive shortstop in baseball. He not only managed to post an abhorrent negative 17 DRS in just 55 games at the Keystone in 2022, putting him on track for negative 41 over a full season, but also managed to register the worst marks in baseball in basically every StatCast statistic as well, including outs above average at negative 13, runs prevented at negative 10, success rate at 68%, and success rate added at negative 6%, doubly as bad as the next closest on the list. He did manage to rack up 3 DRS in 33 games at second, however, so there may be a future for him yet at the MLB level, just not ever again as a shortstop. Nolan Gorman is the worst defensive second baseman in the major leagues. Coming up as a third baseman predominantly, Gorman's lack of experience as a second sacker was obvious in his rookie season, leading to a negative 5 DRS in just 62 starts in the field, putting him on pace for a negative 11 mark over a full season. However, it's in his StatCast metrics that he truly sinks to the bottom of the pile, as his marks of negative 12 outs above average, negative 9 runs prevented, and negative 4% success rate added were all the worst or tied for the worst marks at second base in the MLB. Here's to hoping the power-hitting rookie can continue to adjust to second, or at least get more reps as a DH or first baseman. Joey Votto is the worst defensive first baseman in baseball. It comes as a major surprise that a guy with 59 career DRS has fallen to this level, but I guess that's what aging does. His 2022 DRS still wasn't horrible, at negative 2, but it's when we investigate StatCast's advanced numbers that things get bad. Votto was last or tied for last in the MLB in 2022 and outs above average at negative 9, runs prevented at negative 7, and success rate added at negative 5%, almost doubly as bad as the next person on the list. Currently on the IL to begin 2023, Votto will undoubtedly continue to see more and more time as a DH as he ages, and after last year's showing in the field, it might become full-time pretty quick. Kyle Schwarber is the worst defensive left fielder in the MLB today. Not only did the big guy post an insanely poor DRS at negative 14 in 2022, as well as already racking up another negative 2 so far in 2023, he posted by far the worst StatCast metrics in left as well. These included the worst marks in baseball in both outs above average at negative 13 and runs prevented at negative 12, and the second worst in both success rate at 80% and success rate added at negative 5%, with career totals of negative 29 DRS and negative 49 outs above average, which is the worst mark in baseball since they began measuring that back in 2016. Schwarber is continuing to prove why a permanent move to DH might be a smart move for the Phillies whenever they can manage it. Bryan Reynolds is the worst defensive center fielder in baseball. Now wait, before you come after me, hear me out. He's a decent corner outfielder on either side of center with a career DRS of 13 when he plays either right or left, but when he's up the middle, oh boy, a negative 19 career DRS, negative 7 outs above average since 2022, which is the worst in baseball, and just an 87% success rate, which is tied for second worst in the MLB, as was his negative 3% success rate added over the same period. He's an amazing hitter undoubtedly, and plays fine defense anywhere else, but as far as center fielders go, he's the worst starter defensively in the MLB without question. Nick Castellanos is the worst defensive right fielder in baseball. I'm sure this doesn't come as much of a surprise to most of you, as his negative 55 career DRS certainly doesn't paint a picture of an excellent defender, but crazy enough, it actually gets worse the deeper you look. Since 2021, he's not only last in baseball in both outs above average at negative 18 and runs prevented at negative 16, but is also tied for third worst in success rate at 83% and fourth worst in success rate added at negative 3%. This puts the Phillies, whose duo of Kyle Schwarber and Castellanos have combined to post negative 29 outs above average the last 2 seasons, in a tough spot, as neither can DH for any real portion of time as Bryce Harper continues to take at-bats there, coming back from Tommy John surgery.